Morning everybody, welcome back to another CYT-Crypto live show. My name is Stephen Aitchison and today we'll be going over the markets just as usual, and we're looking at the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts as well. What two signals we're going to look at today that could signal the start of a massive crypto rally. I'm thinking up to 13,000 or so. We spoke about it yesterday, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it could go up to 13,000. Okay, we have an overall market capitalization of $241 billion, coming up at $242 billion. Bitcoin took a dive yesterday, but then it kind of about turned and started going back up again. So we'll look at the Bitcoin chart in a wee second. We've got a Bitcoin dominance of 65.7%, which is good. It's coming down, so people are getting into alts, but the price is still going up with Bitcoin as well, which is good to see. See who the winners and losers are. We have Komodo is up 25%. Golem, we've seen jumping big time, is up 24%, and that's the only two in double-digit greens. But we have Quant, MadeSafe, Solve, Eternity, NEM, Nervos Network all up as well, and we've got a tranche of others as well. I think we've got about 30% in the red and 70% in the green. And the big ones, MCO 5.58%, Digix, Dow, Decred, Stellar, not by that much to be honest. But we'll just kind of flip it and look at Satoshi value. Does that change things? And this will tell us. It kind of flips it. So probably about 45, I'd say 45, 55 for the greens. So not by that much, so it's relatively stable for Satoshi value as well. Let's go back to USD. We'll go to the wider market and look at the rankings for the gainers and losers for the wider market. We have crypto verification is up 205% on 105,000 volumes. So that's good volume there. Dynamites, haven't heard of, up 144%. Vertcoin is up 100%. Vertcoin has been around for a while. 14 million volume, it's up 108%. Why is it up 108%? Intanmo is up 49%, ETM, I've seen that before as well. Blocknet as well is up, Ethereum is up. The main news story, that these two signals for Bitcoin and Ethereum, or it's a one signal, but it's happening for both of them just now. This could spark a massive rally, but we'll look at the Bitcoin chart first. Okay, Bitcoin chart, 8,634, it did get up to 8,700, or we were up to 8,700, and we'll just go to the daily, see what's going on there. So we're still above this previous resistance line on this kind of downward channel, or the descending channel that we're in for Bitcoin. We're still above that, which is a good sign. We are still, the 70 EMA is still crossed over the 50 EMA, which is a good sign also. The 200 EMA, we'll just look at the EMAs as well. So we still need to climb that, but it's coming down, obviously. So before we'd had to get above 9,400 to cross up to 200 MA, but that is coming down as well. So we're going to meet that eventually. We're going to cross that eventually, and that'll spark another kind of move for Bitcoin, I would imagine, once it's crossed over the 200 MA. So that's coming soon as well, which is another bullish sign for Bitcoin. It's refusing to go below that 8,600. It did kind of dip below that, or it wicked below it, but it didn't close on it or below it. So it's refusing to close below the 8,600, which is another good sign as well for Bitcoin. So that's moving up just now. But it was at 8,792. So technically it's kind of coming down from that level. So we could see a drop from here. Now I'm just going to show you these kind of moves as well. I'll show you Ethereum USD just to give you an idea. I'm just going to go on to WazirX actually. So on the Ethereum USD dollar, we'll just look, we're touching the 200 MA for that as well. So very similar to Bitcoin. What's happening with Ethereum is very kind of similar to what's happening with Bitcoin and vice versa. Crossed over on the daily, which is a good sign. We've not crossed over the 200 MA yet. I would imagine there's been a channel here as well. We can see, without actually putting the channel in, we can probably see that happening. There's been a channel, a downward channel for Ethereum as well, and it's broken out of that. So we're at $167 at the moment for Ethereum, and it's broken over 70 EMA is broken over the 50 EMA. I'm going to go to the weekly for this, for the 70 EMA crossing over the 50 EMA for Ethereum, but we're moving up towards that. That's probably going to happen within the next couple of weeks, I would imagine, and it doesn't happen often. You can see it's happened once here. It kind of briefly done it on 3rd of June 2019, the start of that, and kind of went up to about $368. It's at $168 just now, so I reckon we're going to get up to 200 first, then we're going to get up to the magical kind of 300 level and break that again. It'll happen this year. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to happen this year. We did get down to $121, but if you look on Bitcoin, BTC USD, we can see we've crossed over on the weekly quite clearly. When we go in, the 70 EMA is crossed over on the 50 EMA, and that doesn't happen often. Last time it happened was 26th of April 2019, and the time before that was back in 2015 when it crossed over. But possibly more significantly is the MACD. The MACD doesn't cross over very often either. The last time it crossed over was the 4th of February 2019, and that's when we're down here at 3,400. Crossed over there to jump up by about $10,000. The MACD is now crossing over again on Bitcoin. You can see here just crossing over. Depends on this price. We're going to see a little green kind of bar here. It's not green yet, but once that goes up in price, it's going to cross over. So that's just a crossover coming up just now. So that could in and of itself spark a rally. But if we look at Ethereum USD, we're seeing a crossover here with Ethereum USD. And that's not happened very often. I think it's happened 4 times in the past. So 17th of December 2018 was the last time it happened, and went from $85 up to $369. Obviously came back down again, but that is the last time it crossed over. It's crossing over again. You can see this green bar, and that's probably going to happen with Bitcoin. We're probably just a week out for Bitcoin, but that is 2 signals that could spark the rally for the crypto rally, not just for Bitcoin, but for altcoins as well, particularly the larger altcoins. And it'd be interesting to see Litecoin as well. Just have a look at Litecoin. Litecoin is just crossing over, so a lot of the larger ones are just crossing over. The last time it happened for Litecoin, again 17th of December, and we've seen a big, huge rally there for Litecoin. Same with Ethereum, Cardano. We'll just look at the USD, sorry. USD, look at Binance. Just crossing over here, probably crossed over 4 or 5 weeks ago. And so we're on 45 cents at the minute. Sorry, 4.5 cents. No, 45 cents for Cardano. So the major alts are crossing over on a weekly MACD, which is amazing to see, but that could signal a major crypto rally. And we're talking about an altcoin run as well as a Bitcoin run as well. So we need to wait and see if that pans out, if it plays out. But those signals alone with the MACD could indicate something big is coming soon. This is the kind of major news. India's central bank asserts cryptocurrencies have not been banned. We kind of knew that already, but a lot of people were just presuming that cryptocurrencies were banned in India, but they weren't banned technically. So India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, has clarified that it has not prohibited cryptocurrencies in the country. Rather, authorities are focused on enhancing regulations to prevent illegal financial activities. The news will bring relief to many investors who have had to endure several months of uncertainty regarding their investments, and the RBI had previously ordered banks in the country to deny services to cryptocurrency-related entities, which began a protracted debate. So the RBI has offered some explanation about the status of cryptocurrencies in India following a case against the agency in the country's Supreme Court. The central bank said that it has not banned cryptocurrencies, but rather has taken steps to protect financial institutions from being subject to risks associated with the asset class. So the case is brought to the Supreme Court, which was released an affidavit that had been filed on September the 4th So firstly, the RBI has not prohibited VCs, virtual currencies in the country. The RBI has directed the entities regulated by it to not provide services to those persons or entities dealing in or settling virtual currencies. The RBI has been able to ring-fence the entities regulated by it from being involved in activities that pose reputational and financial risks, along with other legal and operational risks. So that's good news, actually. This could be actually huge news. I know it wasn't technically banned before, but I think most people just presumed that it was going for heavy regulation. So in effect, there was a kind of ban there, but they're backtracking now and saying it's not been banned because of this Supreme Court kind of hearing as well. So that could be really good news for Bitcoin and the crypto markets as a whole. On the back of that, good news for Bitcoin in India and Binance's WazirX token sale. So just hours after India's central bank clarified its stance towards cryptocurrencies, Binance announced a new token sale for its recently acquired Indian Bitcoin exchange. And they're saying lucky timing, ? Don't bet on it. Today's India's central bank appeared to soften its hostile regulatory stance towards cryptocurrencies. Just hours later, the world's leading cryptocurrency exchange by market volume launched a token sale for its newest acquisition, India crypto exchange WazirX, WZX. I said Binance bought Mumbai-based WazirX in November for between 5 and 10 million, and one of the main goals is to add more fiat currencies to Binance and work with local partners to add as many fiat to crypto pairs as possible. And Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao said at the time. Founded in March 2018, WazirX has a monthly trading volume of 30 million and more than 200,000 app downloads. Acquiring the peer-to-peer exchange enables Binance to gain a foothold in India and access a market over 1 billion people via a fiat on-ramp for the Indian rupee. I think that's a brilliant move by Binance, and that's what I keep saying. They've got their fingers in many pies. They're doing so many things all around the world, and I just think it's going to cement their kind of place in cryptocurrency even more. That's why it's good to buy the BNB token as well. I think it's just a good price just now, $18 at the moment, and we'll look at that after. So is that a coincidence? Did he know about what's going on as well? Be good to know, actually, but still a good move from Binance. Ray Dalio says central banks won't touch Bitcoin. VanEck Exec thinks he could be wrong. So as reported by USA Today, Bridgewater Associates co-founder Ray Dalio poured some cold water over Bitcoin at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, which is a forum uniting plutocrats from around the world. The billionaire at the helm of the world's largest hedge fund opined that central banks will keep holding gold instead of its digital version. While VanEck's digital asset strategist Gabor Gurbax thinks that Dalio could be right as of now, but things could change dramatically in a few years. So he didn't mince words when criticising the US dollar either, and the Federal Reserve by outright calling cash trash. When it came to Bitcoin, he apparently doesn't think that Bitcoin can function as money because of its extreme volatility. And I tend to agree with that at the moment. But I don't think, obviously it is because of the extreme volatility we spoke about earlier, about whales, etc. as well. How do we deal with that? How do we deal with the amount of whales out there as well? Because I think there's about 10 million Bitcoin it's not been used in about a year or something from the wallets. It's not been transferred, it's not been kind of bought, it's not been sold, it's not been traded. 10 million Bitcoin. So somebody's kind of holding, or a lot of people are holding that 10 million Bitcoin. So we could still be in it for a rough ride and a lot of volatility over the next couple of years until more of that gets put into circulation and different entities buy it. The question here in you today was, can we have both Dalio and his fellow gold bug Peter Schiff seem to be convinced that gold will prevail and Bitcoin will be forgotten as another speculative fad, thus exacerbating the civil war between the two camps? However, there are also prominent investors who believe that these two assets can peacefully coexist. And Digital Galaxy CEO Mike Novogratz said that he was long both on gold and Bitcoin in response to Dalio's doomy essay about the broken financial system. So could it coexist, or is one going to beat the other? Does it need to be a competition? Could they coexist? I think they could. This is a big story as well. Bank of England eyes the Bitcoin market. Group of 6 central banks considered digital currency launch amid claim it could boost the economy. So proponents of the central bank digital currencies believe they could improve financial inclusion. And Bank of England has said introducing a CBDC could increase UK GDP by 3%. Sweden's Riksbank plans to create a pilot digital currency known as e-krona. And I said this before last year as well, more and more we're going to have sovereign currencies, we're going to have bank currencies as well. So we're starting to see that now. 6 central banks, including the Bank of England, will investigate whether there is a strong case for creating a central bank digital currency in their respective countries. And Deputy Governor of the Bank of England, John Cunliffe, will co-chair the group, along with Benoit Coeur, who runs the Bank of International Settlements Innovation Hub, which is also getting involved. The Bank of England said the new working group will look at CBDC use cases, economic, functional and technical design choices, including cross-border interoperability and the sharing of knowledge on emerging technologies. Could this be really good for XRP as well? If they kind of look at the CBDC and say this is not for us, but we could still look at cross-border payments, XRP could be really good for them. So it depends on what they kind of go with, but the point here is not just about them issuing a CBDC or even looking at a CBDC. The point here is they're looking at digital currencies. They'll obviously be looking at blockchain as a solution as well to that. So it's good that's coming more and more to the fore. US government continues digging a hole of debt. Bitcoin keeps growing. So this is talking about kind of Bitcoin, and they're borrowing their way out of and kind of printing money. So United States Treasury has announced a return of a 20-year bond as it faces mounting deficits with more than $23 trillion worth of debt owed by the US. Coming up with ways to rake in interest is becoming a much greater portion of the national budget. The budget deficit is set to pass $1 trillion in 2020 for the first time ever. So loads of things going on with the economy just now. That's just not looking good for the whole economy in the US and the UK and the EU as well. It's just not looking good at all. And yet the markets are still going up, and people are still buoyant and still bullish. And it's just clear to me that this is just getting worse and worse and worse. How do they sort it? And obviously they're thinking Bitcoin could be the way forward for this as well. So 2 separate things. I'm kind of really worried about where the economy is going all over the world. Obviously we look at America as well, we look at the UK, we look at the EU as well. That kind of dictates what kind of happens everywhere else. But I think it's just not looking good just now, and I do get worried. Okay, until tomorrow, namaste. Take care. Bye now.